Good evening, y'all. I apologize, I'm a little bit late. I have some wardrobe malfunctions here. How about that? Um, but thank you guys for joining me once again tonight. Is another Wealthy Wednesday, another night of just a few tips to financial freedom that I wanted to share. Just make sure and take a moment and just make sure everything is streaming live. You guys
Good
are
evening,
hearing it. Oh, there we go. Let me mute that. So we are definitely live here. So I won't be here long. Of course, it is. You guys know me. Know, hey Terry. Know that try to keep things quick and to the point. So that's definitely my goal tonight. Just a couple of things. Once again, as always. Um, First. Again, welcome back for those who have been here before. Like Terry, thank you. Just if you've been here, if you follow me quite often, let me know you're here. Give me a shout out in the comments. I definitely want to recognize you and just again say I appreciate you for being here. If you're newbie, if you're here for the first time, definitely just hashtag newbie in the comments. I'd love to recognize you and give you just some follow up information after the video. And of course, don't hesitate to reach out to me as well. I am here for a reason. Uh, Again, everyone has their own gifts. I feel like my gift is my experiences in the industry and also life experiences, and it's time for that to be shared. So that's why we're here. And if you're in a replay, as always, hashtag replay. I just want to know that you're here. And again, if you have any questions, I always go back and check my comments and just make sure I recognize everyone that's here. So if you're on YouTube, you guys that follow me, maybe have some family members or anything you want to share the information with, we do have the YouTube channel up and running. That is Black Girl Magic. Wall Street Edition. That is live. So the videos are posted there for those who are not on Facebook and social media. You definitely can follow up there as well. And just a couple of things about me for you newbies. My name, of course, is Tanita Abraham, also known as Joyful Abraham. I am a licensed financial advisor slash trader or investment consultant, but on the operations side, pretty much just about anything in the business regarding investments. And not too long ago, I left the industry to just take on some challenges of helping people understand the importance of the investments, the importance of savings, the easier ways to do it, the things that are out there in the industry that sometimes even your own advisor doesn't know, just to help you help your family change that narrative and just about not knowing and understanding the things about finances. And more importantly, doing things on your own that are much easier than you may think to save you some money so that money could be set aside for you and not for fees and expenses. So that's where building legacies comes from. My Facebook page, you hopefully are following Facebook. Also have a website. Tara, I'm going to ask you to put that in the comments there, www.buildourlegacy.com. You also see it at the bottom of the screen. Some good news that come out this weekend. I am officially, I have my first official business client. I'll be working with about 25 of his clients to start on their first financial group course. So I do individual sessions. I will be doing live sessions, working currently on that, the business client, as well as obviously the most popular is classes for youth. Um, for those of you who haven't stopped me and asked me, I have been working on that. That's in the works and probably will start sometime the 2nd of November. So definitely be ready for that. I will have a lot more information on next week, but this week is a little bit special, so I'm not going to talk about that too much. And also for my followers that are always interested in my spectacles, this week I am wearing Waylon. The website is www.vogueme.com. And if you are interested in these glasses or any others that you've seen me wear on my lives, there is a great sale going on this week. I guess it's some kind of I won't say Black Friday, but there's definitely a sale going on this week. These are actually on sale for $14.99 without the prescription. I always recommend, if you're not sure about how things are going to fit, go ahead and buy the glasses, and you can always take them to Walmart if you want to get a prescription in. At least by then you know how they look on you. So these I love. They're little blingies, you see. So even though I'm not going anywhere, sometimes it doesn't feel like it's time to look cute. So here we go, little shazzy. So if you decide to go on there, if you don't know already, definitely use my coupon code for 15% off. That is over and above the sales prices. So 15% off for $15. Might as well go ahead and get you some glasses and some spectacles. They also sell jewelry, men's glasses, all of that. So definitely take a look there. So we have a few more people joining. Thank you guys for being here. Today is a little bit special. For those of you, I know a lot of you already, my friends, you already know, back in 2005, my mom passed very suddenly. Her birthday is today, October 14th. So thank you guys for giving her a shout out for her birthday. And I wanted to make sure that I share some of the experiences. So today is not necessarily a scripted conversation because I just thought it would be best just to be raw and natural and talk about some things that we don't want to talk about. And more importantly, some things that if you haven't gone through it already, you will need to, whether it's for you and your parents or you being the one to leave some friends and family behind. So I won't get too, what's the word? I won't definitely make it depressing or anything, but just some things to think about. I think these days, this year, 2020, more than anything, more than any time that we've seen, is more important to really just hold on to some things, do some things differently, especially when it comes to what's going on right now, whether it's whatever the COVID thing is. The reality is, especially our elderly people are leaving this earth much quicker than, or I won't say much quicker, but in a greater abundance that we have seen probably in years past. At least it feels like it. So there's some things to talk about, not only for you and your parents, I would say, but also for you and your children, nieces, nephews, whatever that you may leave behind. So with that being said, it's about 10 after, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. First one, obviously, I've said before on some of my other lives, is make sure you plan and prepare. Sometimes there are signs there, sometimes there aren't. A lot of people, a lot of friends of mine, it seems like, I don't know if it's because of my faith or just my relationships with a lot of people, whatever the case may be, just general people as it is. I've dealt with praying for, comforting a lot of people this year. A lot of people are going through some surprises, whether it's COVID, whether it's anything else this year. Losing some parents, losing children, unfortunately, relatives. It's just a lot going on. We hear about it all the time, and the news on top of it now. Getting into the end of this season, end of this year, it's also usually a hard time. So it's interesting that the other day, one of my good friends, Andrea Whitener, she's a special, she does with therapy and things like that. She's a specialist. She reminded me that it's mental health. It was a mental health awareness day. And usually this time of year, this season, is when people mourn, or I would say re-mourn, the death of other people. And it's normal because this is the season. But I always say the things that I think about when this day came for me, actually October 14th is her birthday, but it was also the day that we found out that she had cancer, and how they basically gave her, she has so many months to live. The first thing you do when you get that news always is just kind of freeze. You don't necessarily want to deal with the what ifs, what we have time to do, what can we do, things like that. And in hindsight, I would say that was one of the things that I wish that um, we had the um, I won't say wherewithal, but we had the knowledge or the advice to do ahead of time before we even found out that she was sick. Um, Simply because once that information comes and it hits you, and especially when it's your mother, it's just hard to plan for stuff like that. You don't want to accept it. Let's just be real. You don't want to accept that it's here, whether it's a family member, a close friend, or whatever. It's just hard to accept that. So the best thing I would say is just to make sure that you plan and prepare, not only for when it comes to the loved ones, but I would say for yourself. Another thing about me is I talked about this a little bit, but I was in a situation in the end of 2017, and I found myself um, in a situation where my son was told that, with my sister, was told that they need to find my information, find out what my plans were, things like that. And that's not something you want to experience unprepared, especially when in those moments when you're in a coma, you do hear things. I remember probably 90% of the conversations that took place when I was in ICU. I couldn't speak to you, but I heard you. Um, and I remember that. So keep in mind where it is on both ends for you, if you're in that situation, also for whoever is going to be the person that's caring for you in those moments. Have that conversation. I have obviously now had that conversation with family and friends that I expect to step up. They know who they are. I love you guys. And it's better to have it when the emotions, the everything is not there already. So make sure you have that conversation. Number two, or I would say actually kind of an offset of that, is make sure you also talk to your loved ones. Um, my mom passed that same year. My father was very ill earlier that year. We actually thought, literally, just to be clearly open, like I said, I'm gonna be raw tonight. We actually thought that my father was going to pass that year. Not going into all the details, but he was very ill earlier that year. Had been in the hospital for quite a long time. And we actually had the city celebrated his accomplishments that year because they expected him to be not be with us anymore. And with that, even with that, we did not think to plan for him other than that. Um, and as you see, he's still here. But the one thing about it is nobody really talked about it. And I think now, even to this day, 15 years later, the only reason I know what my father wants is because I sat down with him, I recorded it on my phone, and took notes of what he wants. And now that I've been on the other side of that, I think the reason why we don't have the conversations or our parents don't come to us, and I'm speaking to you because everyone obviously has a parent that they probably hadn't had that conversation, probably because you're waiting for them to have that conversation. The reality is, as a parent, if you think about it, if you have children, we avoid that conversation because we think that you're not ready to have that conversation. But it's time to have that conversation. Just be realistic. It's time to have that conversation when you're in a good place. You're not already mourning, you're just kind of getting an understanding. It's nothing wrong with writing things down. It's nothing wrong with having just a general, um, regular conversation to help you get prepared to make things easier. My thing, everything I do when I do my lives, when I do my conversations, my classes, is about when I say build your legacy. I want everything that you are going to have to go through in life in some way, shape or form to be easier. Um, and I feel like you go through certain things because honestly, a lot of things that you go through in life is not for you. It's for what you do, how you use that. And when I say you go through things because there's a lesson in it, there's a lot of lessons that I learned in my mom's passing. It wasn't just a mourning situation, but in my mom's passing, I learned a lot about myself. Um, and I learned a lot about obviously taking care of older people and getting older. So although very young in that situation, It grows you up quicker. But more than anything, it also made me take on a little bit deeper the understanding of what people go through, as well as what people are prepared for. And that's what I also have been doing in my career for most of the years, especially the last about 10, 15 years. So sometimes you have to talk to your loved ones and making sure that there's an understanding of what that is. It's not a great conversation. Um, it's definitely not a Netflix and chill conversation, but it's a conversation that could that could be placed that'll make things easier for you and them once that comes off of your chest, and you'll be surprised. Um, Talk about their belongings. Talk about what things they may have set aside that you may not even know about. Make sure you have the conversation, even if they're in their right mind. Say, hey, just in case if something were to ever happen to you, but you're still with us, what would you want? And don't let the I don't want to talk about that conversation happen, like response happen. You have to have that conversation. You have to have that conversation. I've had that conversation with my best friend. It's just it's just being realistic. It's just being realistic. Somebody's going to have to fight for you while you're going, or while you're not 100% there, and you don't want to have that situation happening. You're not, and they're not fighting the way you would want them to fight. So make sure if you're not having that conversation, um, if they're not coming to you to have that conversation, make sure you initiate that conversation with your loved ones. Next was when a loved one passes, wait a few months before you get rid of everything. I think this is probably um, the hardest thing to do, but it's also one of the most typically when that situation takes place. We have the funeral. Hey Don, thanks for joining. We have the funeral. We go. We have the dinner. The routine just boom, 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 boom. But the reality is, why we jump to just go through and sort out everything and get rid of everything? What's the point in doing everything while you're still emotional and probably going to make emotional decisions? If you didn't have the assets before, is it really going to make it any better to take care of it while you're still mourning the fact that the person is gone? Do you really think you can make the best decisions in those moments while you're still in shock of the fact that that part of your heart, the part piece of your mindset and soul is no longer there physically? So that would probably be my number one piece of advice that I would say in those situations is don't jump to making that decision of separating. You take this, you take that. I don't want this. Who wants it? Let's just get rid of it and have a yard sale. No, don't do that. Take some time, get some time to start accepting. Not everyone accepts at the same pace, but at least take some time to step away from it and get out of the rush of everything that you have to do. Because you have to deal with the lawyers, you have to deal with probate, you have to deal with the banks and business accounts, all the stuff you have to do, that's fine. But when it comes to who's going to deal with the house, who's going to take this, who's going to take that, let's get rid of that. Why? Why bother? It's enough going on to um, as it is in that situation. Take a step back and just take time to mourn and relieve. Find your peace and what you can find your peace in that situation, then come back to it. It doesn't have to go anywhere. Another reason why I say that is, which brings me to my last point, which is once you do that, once you have the conversation with your parents, your loved ones, whatever that they have left, if you haven't already, when there's some things that you find in the home, make sure you have praised. Don, Terry, you guys know where I'm going with this. Make sure you have them appraised. One of the things that we've been talking about in our calls on Tuesdays, and when the women groups stock market chats with Leslie, we don't just talk about stock market, we talk about a little bit of everything. But one of the things we've been talking about is things that our parents did when we were younger. Most of us about the same age. So things our parents did, our grandparents did, that we don't know if they knew purpose behind it at the time, But even things to just a little silver dollar collection, the quarter collection when the quarters change over by state, those little packages. Don't ever leave a penny on the ground. The penny could be worth something, worth more one day. All the things you heard when you were little, um, when they say the $2 bills, and made sure that my grandmother, I don't know how many grandchildren there were, but I remember every Christmas, either at one point it was a $2 bill, then it got pushed down to a dollar bill. But every Christmas, that was her gift to the grandchildren, at least the ones I know that were around her around Christmas time. And so, in hindsight now, if you think about it, let's just think about it for a second. Those pennies that we felt were worthless then, those pennies that our grandparents had, probably don't have a lot of value now. Some of those pennies could even be worth $20, $40, depending on how old they are, where they're from, things like that. Things that took place back then, anything that took place, I would say, especially before the 50s and 60s, it's going to have some type of value, whether it's not now in 2020. It definitely will have value by the time your kids become of age and become adults. Um, that's why I believe they were trying to instill that in us, but that generation necessarily wasn't taught to teach that like we are picking up. Thank God we are. Um, but because of that, if you think of some of the things that I don't know, I can't speak on you guys, but if you go around, well, when I was younger, was this times have changed. But if you go around to grandparents' house, great grandparents' house back in the day with the like the velvet wallpaper and all of that, there were a lot of things that were around that was there that they just held on to. Even an 8-track player has some value today, y'all. Records have value. I have a friend, shout out to Brian, who I met, who owned a record store and actually made money selling old records. It could be anything. It could be anything. All it takes a minute to do some research online, something they did not have, and you never know what could happen. Just happen to be walking out the door that not only has value to you personally because of who it came from, but it also has financial value that should be around that goes through your family for generations after you. This is what people do, the wealthy do that we don't think about. A lot of them don't have homes in their name. A lot of them don't have a lot of cash assets as much as you think. Their net worth comes from old paintings, old jewelry. Some of them, even there are people out there that their net worth is in the millions just simply from some silver, some coins. Why do you think when you hear older, I won't say old people, older people, when especially when the market goes down and the value of the dollar goes down, they run to gold and silver because it typically has not lost its value, and because the value of the dollar has gone down, it's an American currency. Gold and silver is not tied to a specific country. So you have to think about it a little bit different. I would say from experience, unfortunately, there are a lot of things that I remember. The one thing that struck me, we had a yard sale. And about 5 or 10 years later, I learned that a lot of things that left that house at that yard sale was worth a lot of value. Has a lot of value, and who knows what it'll be worth today. And you have to realize when you have those yard sales and all these people come through and going through and picking something as simple as a flower pot, they're going through and picking very specific things. It's because they know. They know. There are things that left that house from that yard sale that had a lot of value that I didn't know about. And it was probably some things that my mother wanted me to hold on to, but we didn't have that conversation. Because I'm pretty sure that she held on to it because she knew it was going to have value. So not only have that conversation with your parents, but have that conversation if you know with your kids. A lot of my friends, a lot of my girlfriends now are going through and looking for old coins, looking through a lot of sewing machines. I mean, just about anything. Um, Looking at a lot of things differently simply because it's not something that you stop and think about. But now we can't go anywhere. Now we're stuck in the house. Now it's time to get all of those thoughts that we kind of overlook and overpass out of our mind and into the air and handle, so we don't have to worry about that later. Um, have a knowledgeable person appraise it. You don't always have to go to some antique dealer. You don't always have to deal with the bank, especially when it comes to coins or just silver bars, things like that. It could even be an elderly person in the family that knows what it is, what it means, where it came from. I have a friend that just told me that one thing that they're doing not only is writing down all of their needs, excuse me, their wants for their assets now, but they're labeling. There's certain places on the items that she has. She's putting labels on who she wants it to go to when she passes. There's plenty of things that can be done to get your family prepared. Be creative, um, think about it, process it, and take the time to take care of it. It's really simple to do. And if you think about it more like just inventory, than kind of on a negative, sad wavelength, you'll get a lot better done, get a lot of things done quicker, and it'll be a weight off your shoulders. And it's a great accomplishment to have to know that you're preparing your family, your future, for something they don't have to deal with. And trust me, that is the best feeling to have, because it's the worst feeling to have knowing that you may be leaving the earth and you didn't have that conversation. So now it could be some drama left behind. Not that I'm saying that we had it, but again, I am a financial advisor of the last 20 years. Um, I've been through some situations with some clients that are very sad and have been devastating just to experience and be a part of. And to be honest with you, most of those conversations could have, most of the situations could have been much better if just a simple conversation would have taken place. Just a simple conversation. So there's no issue as far as who gets what, why, when, all of that. Now you just take time to figure out what are we going to do without Gma, Mama, or whatever the case may be. How do we honor her? How do we honor him? What they want? Um, Things like that. The important things, the things that really matter, not the material things. Take care of the material things now. Then you don't have to worry about it later. You don't have to rush and make an emotional decision and fight over a spoon or whatever the case may be. And yes, I say spoon because that's been a conversation that I've had with a, a son and daughter of a very wealthy client. They argued over a spoon. To this day, I don't even know if they speak anymore. Over a spoon. It happens. Crazy things happen when loved ones pass. So, um, again, I didn't want to make it too um, sad, dry morning, but I just wanted to think of some things because right now, most of us are getting into that holiday season where it gets a little rough. I've been going through this for a while, so it gets easier. I definitely would say it does get easier. The pain shifts. The heart is heavy no matter um, how long it takes to heal, it's still healing. So the pain shifts. But as I told a friend the other day, if you take that pain and turn it into a purpose, then it makes it easier. So my purpose today was to honor my mother by sharing my experience and hoping to enlighten you guys, hoping to get you guys thinking a little bit differently about preparing for not only for your parents, but for yourselves in that situation. Because the reality is, we are born, we walk the earth, and we're not here anymore. And we don't have any control over when that day comes. So, right now, my focus is to live every day the best that I can. I want everyone, if it was my choice, I would love all of my friends and family to be in a situation where one, they don't have to answer to anyone. If they want to go on vacation, hopefully after whenever this is over, they can take that trip, buy those pair of shoes, buy the ticket to that football game, not have to worry about their finances, not have to worry about the things that could happen that you're not prepared for. Because the reality is this year has been a year where we just don't know what's going to happen. So with that, those are things I like to focus on. Good, bad, ugly, doesn't matter. We need to have the conversations. You guys need to have the conversations. Trust and believe it will make you a better planner in the end. It'll make you feel better in the end, because when it's all said and done, and the phrase well done is said, you'll feel like everything was done that needs to be done when you left this earth. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I hope this enlightened you guys. I hope this helped you guys try to get prepared. Just again, everything is about changing mindset. So trying to get your mindset changed to think things over a little bit differently while you have the time, while you're spending more time with your family, while you're communicating with your family, the Zoom calls, the gatherings, all of that are important, because now you're thinking more about making sure you take care of those quality moments. Take some time with quality time and have the conversation that needs to be had. Couple of things to wrap up. Again, my website, buildourlegacy.com, is in the comments. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions, again, if you're here with me, give me a shout out in the comments. If you're watching in the replay, definitely #replay. Let me know if you have any questions, need any guidance about anything that I went over today. I'll be more than happy to share my experience and help through in any way I can, especially for those who are going through that now, recently, simply because if you feel like you're going through it alone, you're not alone. If you feel like no one understands what you're going through, that's not the case. Everyone goes through it differently. However, everyone goes through it in some way, shape or form. So I just wanted to open that up. Again, thank you guys for the birthday wishes. Thank you for checking on us. As you see, my father and I have been taking it easy today. As you see, he did my hair. It's all crazy. But whatever it takes to make him happy, whatever it takes to make him laugh, that's the most important thing. Laughter and music when it comes to taking care of elderly people. And so that's what we try to do every day. That's what's most important. So when the market is closed and they're not shopping for my store, other the business they have going on, it's time, it's daddy time, it's dog time, it's playtime. And that's the best life you can give yourself. You have to find I won't say balance, but you have to find the schedule that works for you and not everybody else. So again, thank you all again for joining. Next week, or within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to have a couple of special guests starting to come on. So definitely look out for that. We're going to go over a few things. It's been high demand to have conversation about taxes. That's in the works. It's been high demand to have conversations about currency, coins, understanding jury, appraising jury, things like that. They'll talk about today. And there's been conversation about I actually got stopped yesterday from a friend regarding children's classes. So that's all in the works. I promise you that. We will be working on that the next couple of weeks. Also, we'll be having another live answer some questions for people who responded to my posts, whether publicly or my inbox that I made earlier this week about what are some things I can help you with. I will be addressing that very soon. I thank you guys for being patient. As you obviously know, this is a challenging week, a challenging time. And again, your support is greatly appreciated. I think I shouted out the website, but anyway, again, as always, I love you guys. I will see you again probably Friday, if not tomorrow. And I'll be dropping some more jewels as much as I can. Love you guys. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. It's been 30 minutes, and I will see you later. Have a good evening. Don't forget to give me a shout out in the comments and check out the website.